Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Skillet coming to you back from X4 Foundations, the beginning series or beginner guide to 7.5. Things to think about, hopefully trying to make it easier within your playthrough. Now, last episode we talked about combat, kind of being a pirate, where to actually get some easy combat in, and also ways to get ships pretty easy as well. If you took any of those hints from that video, like we did, we have upgraded our weapons, we've upgraded our shields, and before you can see two alligator miners. One gas, one mineral. They will come in handy later in the video. But today's episode is brought to you by information. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Without information, you have no idea what's going on in your game. Information can be displayed to you in a myriad of different ways. For stations, if it's illuminated like this, that means you have current information on that station. Purchase orders, buy and sell, where their storage is at, their production, things like that. If it's grayed out, you don't have current information, which means you're not going to be able to make a trade until you get that current information. If a ship gets to that station and then updates that information for you. So how do you work past that? Satellites. And specifically advanced satellites, because they give you the biggest range. Because without satellites, we wouldn't be able to see what's going on in Hatikva's Choice 3. We wouldn't know what these stations need, especially these refining stations. We wouldn't know where the traffic is headed, where people are gathering to mine minerals, or for data vaults, or anything else that you can really pick up with your satellite. Data vaults specifically because if you're going for the blueprints for the Earl King, or just data vaults in general for that little storyline with Bozo, you're going to need to know where they are. And once you discover it, it should always be there. It hasn't always been the case. But information is key for you, because without information, we wouldn't have known of this massive incursion into Second Contact to Flashpoint. The HOP have swarmed in here, and without this information, or the satellite here, we wouldn't be able to see all these little goodies, or all the little goodies we could have, or any abandoned ships that we could either take or pick up. Now, for these, I don't see any wares here, but if there were wares from, let's say, this supply ship. If the supply ship was destroyed, it would drop wares. There was a supply ship right there. It would drop wares or whatever it had in its cargo, and then you could pick that up with either a trader or a Xenon SE, because the SE can hold solid and it can hold container. It's used in the same storage slot. So if you were looking for some easy trades, maybe an SE is the ship for you. But other than that, you can scoop up all of these inventory goodies for anything that you want to craft, for decryption modules, for spacefly caviar, first aid kits, the SATA, if you want to speed up time. You need the visual to figure that out. Information is key, especially when you're mining and when you're doing trades. Now, enough of our sponsor today. After you get a ship, there are a number of different ways that you can actually make money from that ship that you have captured. We're going to take this alligator gas over here, and what we're going to do is we're going to send him down to this Argon wharf. One of the first ways is you can change out the hard points for the ship. You could swap out the engines. Maybe you want it a little slower. Maybe an engine gives you more travel speed if that's what you're about. You can swap that out and gain some of that money. Just by swapping out this engine, we're going to make 600,000. I'm not going to swap the engine. You can swap thrusters and software. Now, here's where you get a little picky and choosy, depending on what you want this ship to do. Technically, I don't need this ship to have the best docking computer. Let's get rid of that one. I don't need this ship to have a police scanner. Let's get rid of that. And for the most part, what we're going to do with the ship, it's fine now with the software that it has. Where you can make your real money is deployables. Now, a lot of veterans in the game might mention you can make money, easy, fast money with advanced satellites. And that is true, because here at this Argonne Wharf, they are selling and buying advanced satellites at 74,000 a satellite. Now, you might be able to find other satellites in an equipment dock, which typically has the lowest cost equipment and hard points. But you can also find other things at shipyards, which then you can transfer to another M or a M class ship from an L to an M class, and then you can sell those satellites in a different spot. You could do it in conjunction with the two sizes like that if you want to. I myself don't find that as a fun part of the game, very immersion breaking in my mind, and time consuming, because you just have to pick that right station. But what you can make money off of are mines. Right here, friend foe mine, nearly 30 a pop, right? Or yeah, nearly 30 a pop. Laser towers, tracker mines. These are things that a lot of different ships will have depending on what kind of ship they are. Xenon typically can have a lot of mines, maybe laser towers. Some S-class ships might have mines and laser towers as well, depending on, what their main purpose was at the time of you taking them over. So for this ship, we're going to get rid of the nav beacons. We're going to get rid of all but a few laser towers. And I do that because most ships, once being attacked, I don't find they drop enough laser towers, or they drop them in a timely manner to really make a difference in some of the fights. So I never try to have a lot of laser towers on ships. Most of the time, they can get away, especially if they're split ships or they have split engines, because even with just cruising speed, as we see here, 769, they should be able to just fly away, no problem. Not always the case, though. And then we're going to drop these resource probes. We'll drop that down to 10 for right now, because what the alligator gas is going to do is going to be our scout. Because of this speed, that's what we're going to use them for. And so I am going to make that happen. That's 500,000 that we're going to get from that. Now, to show what I mean, especially about the advanced satellites, let's go over here to this equipment dock. And it doesn't matter who we're going to pick. Right there. Advanced satellites here are 50,000. So I can load up on all the satellites I can get here, and then I can go over to that Argonne Wharf and I can sell them for a tidy profit. Easy way to make some fast cash. But now, let's say, well, Skillet, I'd like to just get into mining. Well, how you play your game is really your choice. What do you want to do? Do you want to befriend all factions? Do you want to be Argonne-centric? Do you want to help the HOP, the God Realm, Talati, Terran, Split, Free Family, Zyarth? What do you want to do? If you don't care, you want to befriend them all, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to send out those scouts. You're going to want to send them out. Where did ours go? This guy. There we go. You're going to want to send out your scouts to areas that have minerals to be mined. You're going to want to figure out where ships congregate. Where do they go to mine the minerals when you're not in sector? Because that's typically where most or a high concentration of that mineral is. Here, I believe this is actually going to be ice. Yes. So right here is a great spot for ice. Now, if we go over here, well, we don't have anybody. He's floating around. He's not stationary. So there's probably another place in this sector that's going to be good for ore or another gas, mineral, whatnot. Now, the color coding here, red is for solids, so that includes your ore, silicon, ice, and nevidium. Nevidium is not used throughout the galaxy. It is used in your research, and if you stockpile enough of it, it could become your piggy bank to then sell at trade stations. Depending on how much you sell and the amount of times that you sell it, you can drop that demand for the nevidium. You'll have to wait for that to come back up to be lucrative, but if you need a lump sum of money, you can gather up all that you have if you want and sell it to a trade station. You can get a good amount of money depending on the amount you sell. Purple is a combination of gas and solids. The gas is helium, methane, and hydrogen. And then blue is just gas alone. I don't think we have a blue spot. No, we've got purple and red. But there are going to be sectors out there that are just going to have solely gas, opposed to gas and solids. And once you have that, and you know where that's going to be, I'm going to strongly encourage placing satellites. You're going to want to get a view of that area. Right now, this sector bothers me because I don't have a clear line of sight for the traffic that's going to go from this exit, or I mean, I guess this is the exit, to this straight other side. I want to see all lanes of traffic. That is a me thing, but I'm suggesting for you to keep an eye on where your miners go because of the kayak, or the little pyramid boys as I affectionately call them. Because in 7.5, what has happened is these refining stations have their own miners. What that means is now your competition is greatly increased to sell minerals and gas. And you might say, well, Skillet, whoa. Why do we want to do that anyway then? If you can beat the station to its own game, you can make that money. And that's why I like alligators. For mineral mining and for gas mining, they don't have the most, expansive hull or cargo space. Don't know why I said it like that. Cargo space to, do a whole lot of trades, but what they have is speed. Because what the station's going to say at one point is, oh, hey, I need, what's graphene? It's methane, right? Is it helium? Helium or methane? Methane. So it's going to at one point say, hey, I need this gas. It's then going to tell its miner to go mine that gas. But if your miner is filled to the brim with what that station needs, your miner can make their miner useless, invalid, kaput, nada, pretend it doesn't exist. But let's say that you're starting out slow. Mining plays a factor in the Khaak, or the little pyramid boys, in their mechanic. Because their mechanic, their appearance, is based off of mining activity, specifically between ore, silicon, and nevidium. Now again, nevidium isn't used throughout the universe. Nevidium is something that you will specifically mine yourself. So if you have a sector that is large or has a high volume of mining minerals, then you have an increased chance of Little Pyramid Boy attack. That's why you want coverage. Now, I don't know at the time of filming this if the state or the sectors are going to change with outposts and hives. I know it changed a bit when the Terrans, I've zoomed out like I've discovered them. I think it changed a little bit when the Terrans were introduced, and with the new sectors that are being introduced with 7.5 and timelines. I don't know what other sectors really have little Khaak stations. Now, their appearance in sectors is based off where those are located. I believe they can populate up to a sector to 2 sectors away from outposts. And I think outposts can only spawn about a sector away from a hive. I'm going to assume that's subject to change, so don't entirely quote me on that. But with the aggressive mining that's going to start happening at the beginning of the game, those attacks should start sooner. But not only that, if you start slow and you slowly build up your wealth, your mining, then what you're going to find is stations will lose their miners. They will be destroyed due to these Khaak attacks. And that's where you can really step in. And at that point, hopefully you have an L-class miner, which isn't as susceptible to the Little Pyramid Boys as an M-class miner. And hopefully you can just take over what those stations need. Now, alternatively, what I have done in the past is I've used a storage station to stockpile minerals, ore and gas, nevidium as well, and housed it in a trade center for, the base minerals in the game. And I've used that to great effect before. Will it work? We'll try to find that out in an upcoming episode when we talk about stations. But these are just easy ways to make money. How to hopefully keep your miners alive and start that passive income. Now, for this sector, what we are going to do is there is 1 ore, 1 silicon, and there's 1 ice. There's 1, 2, 3. Wasn't there another one? 4. 4 graphene stations. Now, again, graphene is not helium. Graphene is, as I forgot, methane. So we'd have to mine methane. Let's see here. There's hydrogen, and there's some methane in this pocket. So what we can do is we can start gas miner to start making us some money. And again, I'm going to say go gas first because gas just limits the attacks that can happen on your ships. And then you can move into solid mining in possibly different sectors so you can spread out your ships. So you can always have at least some money coming in throughout your playthrough. And as you increase in your wealth, you can always build up to L-class miners. But that's going to be it for now. I hope you found this, full of some knowledge. And let me know how you are going through your playthrough. If you did start a new one, you can always leave a comment. If you like the video, throw up a like. If you keep coming back for more, think about subscribing. But this is going to be Skillet signing out for now. I'll see you guys again.